The Champions League is back and everyone is very excited about all the big games coming up. Unfortunately, Manchester United will not be participating. I'm here with Fionn. Hi, Fionn.
Uh,
Welcome back to our Wednesday football podcast. Fionn, would you like to just give us a run through everything that went on yesterday from Mbappe's hat-trick in a very coming-of-age performance from him against Barcelona in the new camp? And the Liverpool-Leipzig game with some shocking defensive errors from Leipzig. So take it away.
yeah, so obviously we saw PSG destroy Barcelona, and I think Mbappe with the hat-trick used the standout player in the attack. He was always going forward. He was going around the Barcelona defenders like it was nothing. And you can tell Barcelona have huge problems in their team that needs to be fixed. And I mean, Mbappe was phenomenal. You know, they beat them 4-1 without Neymar or Di Maria, and Moise Kean got himself a goal as well. And overall, PSG just dominated attacking, and it was a great game to watch. You know, especially the way Mbappe plays on the ball, his pace, his dribbling, his skill. He's really good on the ball, and he's a great player to watch.
Yeah, he is. He made absolute mincemeat of PK and Longley. I don't know if you saw, but for the first goal,
Yeah.
the one that he just smashes into the back of the net, he takes the ball just an inch from Longley's foot as he stands there in shock as Mbappe is doing this. And I was just thinking when watching him, I mean, he's really in a league of his own now. I mean, he's the best since, Ronaldo or, even R9. Like, all these guys. And, you're kind of looking at him, you're like, have I seen this before? And he's just such a phenomenal player. And I do think he's proved a lot of doubters wrong. People saying that he doesn't perform in the big games. Which is fair to say to a certain extent, because he's playing in Ligue 1, where, he has only a handful of challenging games all year. But, he really did. He absolutely blitzed the Barcelona defence. And yeah, Moise Kean, the Everton man, chipping in with a decent goal, a decent header into the bottom corner. I thought I was very happy to see him score after what happened for Everton under Duncan Ferguson last season. So yeah, it was very good to see him play well and chip in with a goal. Fionn, I just wanted to get your opinions on Messi, and he has been in better form recently, and I do think that he played all right, and I'm just not sure that the team he has around him is good enough,
Yeah, I mean, you can see that there's problems in nearly most parts of the pitch. The whole team around them, they're known as Barcelona. They're known as one of the biggest clubs in history. When they had their team with Xavi and Iniesta, and they were just dominating. And obviously they have De Jong, who's good, Griezmann, who didn't find his form for a while, and then he kind of found it, but he's in and out of it. And their defense isn't great either. Ter Stegen's a good goalie for them, but you can see that there's problems all around the team, and that there's definitely some work that needs to be done. As well, like Messi, he played well. It wasn't like he was a standout player or phenomenal. He did play decent, but like I was saying, just with the team, there's a lot that needs to be fixed with that team if they ever want to win another Champions League.
I do think it was interesting though how Barcelona had actually marginally more possession, however had 5 less shots on target. It was it was an interesting game, but I do think, especially for Pochettino, a lot of people would and fair enough, people would think that it's too early for a game this big for him, but his players really pulled through. And to win 4-1 away at the Nou Camp is, it really is something to behold for this PSG side. I do think though, Barcelona, every time something like this happens, it is just another kick in the teeth from, perhaps a once great team. It is hard. It is hard to watch at times. I won't lie. Especially, it's kind of like, Kylian Mbappe coming through and absolutely blitzing a 34-year-old Gerard Piqué. And I mean, he's a good defender, and he's been a generational player, as Liam would say, over the last 10 or 15 years. But I don't know. It is hard to watch, and you are right about the problems going on. I know the amount of financial debt, and we talked a few weeks ago about the problems with Messi's contract, and how they couldn't even afford a 4 million pound bid for Eric Garcia. It really is hard to see them dig a hole out of this one. But it is a worry for Barcelona fans.
Yeah, I mean, especially the financial difficulties, like you were saying, with Messi's contract. All the contracts for that club is just soaking up so much more money, and it's putting them more in debt. And now they're not going to even be playing Coutinho, because I think if he plays 7 more games, Barcelona have to give Liverpool another 5 million, which was an add-on in the contract. And so they're going to be avoiding playing him, even though he's a great player, like we saw when he was at loan at Bayern Munich. He played really well. And they're just in a lot of trouble, and I don't know how they're going to get out of it. And I think the way Koeman has come in, what he did was all wrong. He got rid of Luis Suarez, and Luis Suarez is a legend of that club, and the way he got rid of him, it was just disrespectful. He got rid of him for little money and was just like, I don't want you, you're out. It was just very disrespectful, especially on Luis Suarez's half. And now he's playing well with Atletico. He's showing that he is a good striker, and they shouldn't have sold him.
He is, and yeah. Well, I mean, I was just gonna say. So this season, Luis Suarez has played 19 matches for Atletico Madrid. He scored 16 goals and got 2 assists. That is just in La Liga, and of course in the Champions League he's played 4 matches. He hasn't scored. I just think, the way Ronald Koeman just got rid of him, just discarded him, and you are right in saying that. But I do think under with Atletico Madrid, there's a lot more players that can do his running for him. Joe Felix and players like him. It is interesting how, put into a different setup, that this guy can absolutely flourish and get into the sort of scoring positions that he has been known for over the last 10 years. And he really is such a good player. But back to Barcelona, Griezmann, as you said, has been in good form, and I thought Ousmane Dembele has actually been in a lot of form recently. He's found his form. I think Pedri is a great player, and I think he's definitely been good for Barcelona this season. Jordi Alba, I think there's been talks of him maybe going up to a sort of a left mid position and leaving, getting a new left back, because of his difficulty with clearing corners and whatnot. But I just think, I don't know, I think he's lost it. But yeah, again, I'm probably waffling a bit now, to be honest. But do you have any last words you'd like to say on that game?
Yeah, I just kind of felt bad for Dest. He's fairly new to the club, and he gets put in against Mbappe in his Champions League game, and he just got absolutely destroyed. He's a good defender, but if you're coming up against Mbappe, you're going to need to have your defence sorted and have a good defence, and you can't be relying that a player will show up. You need to be guaranteed that your defence will do well. And that's why we saw with Barcelona that, Mbappe just destroyed that defence.
Moving on anyway to the other Champions League game that we saw last night, Liverpool against Leipzig. Liverpool winning comfortable 2-0. I did think actually that they played, I think they played well, but they played no better than they did against Leicester, but it just, it went well for them. but it was just some of the errors by Leipzig were just unforgivable. I'm not sure if you saw, but Marcel Sabitzer gives this sort of looping ball in behind his defense. Salah latches onto it, and it's just, oh my god, like it's just such a poor one to concede for them. And I mean, even the other one, like Mukiele, he knows Mane is behind him, and I mean, he just sort of, ends up on all fours, and Mane tucks it away. It's just such a bizarre thing to happen, and I do feel like the manager will have to go. I do feel like Nagelsmann will have to go and have an in-depth look at this, because it's not really acceptable at this level. Yeah, but what did you think of their performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was a mixed game overall because it's not like either teams were outstanding. It's not like either the teams played world class. You didn't look at Liverpool playing, you didn't think, oh, these are the Premier League champions. You didn't look at Leipzig and think, this is a team that's looking to go for the Champions League title. They both were there's a lot of errors in the game. I also saw Leipzig did hit the post, which was very unlucky. They got a good cross in, but Liverpool defence was all over the place, and there was it Ozan Kabak, he completely misses the ball and goes into a sliding challenge from behind into a Leipzig player, just taking him out. It was very just rash and ruthless, but he's only just come to the club. He does need time to settle, and obviously because they have their injury problem, he's basically being forced to play all these games.
Yeah, and he doesn't really seem like the fastest central defender we've ever seen.
No.
It's an interesting one. Heavy's come in from loan, for a loan, and Jordan Henderson, he looked dodgy. He picked up a yellow card, and you do feel like that they are there for the taking if people can get in behind them, much like what we saw with Piqué and Mbappe. It is an interesting one, but I am just looking at the bench for Liverpool, and it's so, I'm just looking at like Tomiskas, Oxlade-Chamberlain, fair enough, Shaqiri, Divock Origi, Ben Davies, Reece Williams, like Phillips, like Kelleher, goalkeeper. They've got two goalkeepers on the bench. They've got two goalkeepers on the bench. I just again, Jurgen Klopp showing his reluctance to play these players. Obviously Nico Williams, Shaqiri, and Oxlade-Chamberlain were brought on, but aside from those, like if they only play like this against Bayern Munich, like I do not think this Liverpool defence is going to be able to cope with the likes of, the Lewandowskis and the Cristiano Ronaldos. Because like if they are 2-0 down, if they are in Leipzig's position, like who are they going to bring on to change the game? I mean, Divock Origi, like it's not really going to happen, because like I know his goal scoring record for Liverpool it's been terrible, really. I'm just like, I know he's obviously loved by the Liverpool fans, but it's hard to see where any other firepower off the bench is going to come for Liverpool.
Yeah, you can see that there isn't, with all their injuries, they don't have many players they can bring on. They don't have, or they don't really have a defender that you could think, oh, bring him on and you'd be secure. They don't have a midfielder that you could think, oh, bring him on and help the attacker. Nothing. You can see that there is huge problems for them. But if it was last season, I'd say, oh, they could rely on Divock Origi to come on and possibly change the game. But he's just kind of dipped in form, gone out of it a small bit nearly. We saw, was it against Crystal Palace, he was playing and he got a one-on-one and he just blasted the crossbar. All he used to do was slot it into the side, but he just blasted it. Yeah, they don't have a lot of options to bring on, like you were saying.
Anyway, in other news, we'd just like to talk, to take a few minutes to talk about James McClain and the abuse that he's been getting via Twitter and Instagram because of a lot of things. You know, it stems from, you know, him not wearing the poppy and everything. But I'm not sure if you saw this, but on Instagram, in, you know, last April, I think, he posted up a picture of him wearing balaclava. Something about history. It was you know, time to teach some history with his child, and he got a lot of backlash for that. He was fined 2 weeks' wages, and he's just been getting a lot of racist abuse. I won't go into, well, would you call it racist? I mean, it is to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a hate crime, and you know, it's absolutely unacceptable. You know, even if I wasn't Irish, I would still be saying that, and I do think that, you know, all the lads up in, you know, Gary Lineker and all the boys up in the gantry, like, and just thinking that, you know, all this stuff about Black Lives Matter, which, you know, obviously I agree with. You know, obviously I agree with that, but you know, everything else, and it's just not been given enough attention. And since this, a lot of Irish people living over in England have come out and said that they have been getting a lot of abuse. It's just so hard to believe. I know that, you know, a dairyman living in England, a proud, you know, nationalist dairyman living in England is never, you know, there's going to be some backlash. But I mean, you wouldn't think so. I suppose just the way he tweets about it so much. But, you know, I won't quote exactly what these people said because it's absolutely horrible and disgusting. But basically along the lines of, you know, answer me, and then, you know, he got his answer. This anonymous Twitter user, it was over Twitter, and he says, yeah, answer me before I have to go and, you know, burn down your house and burn down and, you know, kill all the people inside it, which is just absolutely disgraceful. And it's just disgusting that these people can just sit behind a screen and say all these things. Because, like, I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on it? I'm absolutely flabbergasted about it, like.
Yeah, it's horrible, and I think it's a lot to do with the owners of the companies, like, you know, Twitter or Instagram, wherever it is, because no matter where you go, there will be people who will hate or be racist or something. So it's that company's job to deal with it. You can't just expect whoever is on the receiving end of it to just, oh, suck it up. You know, oh, it's an anonymous account, you should just ignore it. You know, that's not how it should be. It should be that they need to make it so you can't just be making these anonymous accounts and saying what you want from behind the screen. And that if you like that, like that, you just shouldn't be able to. And yeah, like we said, it's just disgusting to see it.
But it's like, I mean, you know, 15, 20 years ago this wouldn't have happened. It's all about this direct line that you know, the public have to these players now. You can, you know, you can direct message them, you can tweet at them, you can tag them in your tweets. It's just like, I don't really know what to make of it, because I had a look at the tweets that he said. You know, obviously I said before, I'm not going to repeat them because it's absolutely disgusting. But I do not think that there is. I don't think that there is enough attention being given to it, because it shouldn't exist. I don't know why they haven't talked about it, and I really do hope that they will. But there is the argument that he brings it on himself, and I completely disagree. But it is like the thing about, you know, you just don't understand English banter. Like, do you think there's a bit of that there? I mean, it's hard to. I'm trying to think of a way that this could be sort of. It's just not, like, what do you think of that, like?
What?
What do you think of, like, the fact that people may use the excuse that he doesn't understand English banter, or he just brings it upon himself with
No,
by doing all these things.
that's
Like,
not
what
good
do you think
enough.
of that?
That's not good enough. You can't say, oh, he brings it upon himself just for saying something. He's speaking out on his personal experiences, and he's getting hate, and then there's no excuses for it, really. It's just horrible to see. You can't even. There's no reasons of how it should be allowed or it could be allowed, you know. And yeah, hopefully it is talked about at like a higher level and it's dealt with.
Yeah, I don't know why. I struggle to understand, why like he's not a very high profile player. He's not, one of the best and never has been. He's not like it's because, like, Nemanja Matic refuses to wear the poppy. He came out and talked about it one time, no more said. I I mean, obviously there wasn't English soldiers going around Belgrade, like, that. It's not really the same. But I mean, it kind of is. Like, I don't understand why this not low profile, but certainly not as high profile as someone like Nemanja Matic. Sorry, but I mean, like, people like Harry Kane get abused all the time. But I mean, that's Harry Kane. Like, he plays for Tottenham, and you've got a lot of like Chelsea and Arsenal fans. This guy isn't Harry Kane, and I'm just struggling to, like. He came out and said that he thinks that he has been the worst abused soccer player, and, like, you have to think about what he's saying there. Like, if he is, like, I mean, I don't think a lot of people can actually comprehend how bad the situation is for him,
And if he's saying out that he feels like he is the worst abused soccer player, then it has to be, maybe it's not true, but it has to be very serious to a certain extent. It's not just, oh, he's getting a bit of abuse online. It has to be constant and repetitive. And yeah, like, if he's saying that, then it's definitely terrible, and you can see it is very bad, and I think something needs to happen with it.
Meanwhile, in the Premier League, Manchester City are top of the league. They are 8 points ahead of Manchester United, who are second after disappointing 1-1 draw at the Hawthorns. Leicester City are in third. Chelsea move up to fourth. Chelsea are 12 points off the top spot. By no means comfortable in fourth at all, with West Ham in fifth and Liverpool in sixth, who are now 14 points off the top spot. That's very interesting. Like, Liverpool are they're in complete free fall. Like, I don't know what's going on with them. Like, I mean, I saw a stat there. I'm not sure if this is after or before the 3-1 loss to Leicester, but they had won 2 of their last 7 games, which is the same as Man United, but Man United have gotten a lot more draws. Their only loss was to Sheffield. I mean, what has happened to Liverpool?
They've just completely. I think, yes, to a certain extent, you can say they have injuries, but at the same time, it's not good enough to be champions and then be dropping down to 6th place just because of injuries. You can see that there's a whole drop in the team's form. There isn't much energy about them. The defense isn't doing well. But the one thing I'm surprised about the most is West Ham. And slightly Chelsea, considering they were down on the lower end of the top half of the table. And Tuchel has come in and he's just been winning with them and he's been doing a great job. But David Moyes for West Ham, he's doing a great job there. Overall, they've just been very consistent. And we've seen with certain big teams, they might have a dip in form and then they'll play well for a while. Like we saw United, the start of the season was slow. they got into it, they were flying it, and now they've kind of hit a bit of a brick wall again. We saw Manchester City started well, hit a dip in form, and now they're back. But West Ham have been consistent throughout most of the season, but they've just lost some of the games against maybe like bigger teams. That would be seen as, oh, they'll beat them, but they've been phenomenal. Even seeing them play, they play great. Like,
Yeah, they definitely have been playing well. Maybe not so much against the top half teams. I think they sort of fold and they get scared, but they're definitely up there and challenging for if not Champions League, then Europa League. It'll be interesting to see how long they are able to hold that one out. But just looking at it here, like, I mean, Leicester are playing some good football. Everyone is, well, the top six anyway are even on games, and I'm just looking at here, like, okay, so Everton have a game in hand on Liverpool. So if they win that game in hand, then Liverpool go down to 7th. Aston Villa have 2 games in hand. If they win both of those, then Liverpool go down to 8th.
Well, yeah, it isn't looking good for Liverpool at all. And I think their main focus should be to get 4th or top 4, because there's no way they're going for the title now. With the lead City have created, City are most likely going to run with it. But yeah, it's just you're looking at them and you're wondering, like, what has happened here. It's not good enough from the team as well, considering they're defending champions. Even if they were like 2nd or 3rd and had a gap, City had a gap on them, but it's literally they're in 6th place. City have a 14-point gap on them. It's not good enough.
Tomorrow night, Manchester United face Real Sociedad. Much more happening tomorrow as well. Pogba, Cavani and Van de Beek are not going to be included in the 22-man squad, while Shola Shatir and Amad Diallo are, as well as Phil Jones, interestingly. It is going to be a great game. And quickly, before we finish up, Fionn, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, this is a Real Sociedad team who I suppose were the football hipsters' choice to win the La Liga this year, and they haven't really, like, they started well, but they haven't lived up to expectations. Like, if this was me 2 or 3 months ago, I definitely would have said that Real Sociedad were probably going to win. But they are a good team, and they're definitely capable of causing problems for Manchester United. I do think it's going to be an interesting one. Who do you think is? Give us your predicted outcome and scoreline.
I'm not sure, because for me it's either going to go a way of United will dominate possession, they could dominate the game, and they'll come out with maybe a 2-0. But if it isn't that, then I see Sociedad coming out with maybe like a 3-1 win or something like that. Because it's just, when you look at United recently, the defence is awful. Like Maguire and Lindelof, they're all over the place. And obviously this is Europa League. We might have like a Phil Jones playing, something like that. But it's just, it could go either way. I'd nearly expect Real Sociedad to win it, because I feel like they're going to go out with a strong team, because it's their European competition. They're looking to win it. And I mean, United should be too, because Ole would nearly need a trophy soon. But they do have Oyarzabal and David Silva. They do have a good attack. And I reckon Sociedad could come out with it if United don't go out there with their heads up saying we're going to win this game and then dominate, play confidently. I just feel like Sociedad could take it if they don't do that.
Join us for more analysis of the Premier League, the Champions League, the Europa League and the Six Nations over the next few weeks. Thank you for talking to me today, Fionn.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Sideline podcast.